What's up, wall fans, common sensors, podcast consumers? Welcome to the video feed for episode 128 of Go Tell It to the Wall podcast. And if you're noticing me on the video feed right now, you can tell from my outfit that this is officially our annual holiday special for 2021. We got a lot of stuff to get through today. If this is your first holiday special, you're in for a treat. If this is your sixth holiday special, you know the drill. It gets a little wilder every year. And since we have a lot to get into, let's get into this particular holiday special.
Who 1, 2, 3, go tell it to the wall. Tell it to the wall. Go tell it to the wall. Tell it to the wall.
All right, wall fans, common sensors, podcast consumers. Welcome to another very, very special episode of Go Tell It to the Wall podcast. This is episode 128, but not only is it episode 128, this is our official holiday special for 2021. That's right. This is also the episode where I challenge myself by wearing a Santa hat with bells on it. So you're going to hear strange bell sounds kind of throughout the episode. If you're not watching the video feed, you should go check it out so you can see my ridiculous outfit, kind of keeping with the theme that is ridiculous outfits for holiday specials. So lots of good stuff to get into, but before we get there, we always kick things off with our social plugs. You can keep up with us during episodes, after episodes, whenever you so please, and you can do that in multiple locations. One of those would be facebook.com/GoTellItToTheWall. That's right, facebook.com/GoTellItToTheWall. That's our official Facebook page. Also, head over to youtube.com/GoTellItToTheWall, youtube.com/GoTellItToTheWall. That's our official YouTube channel. Subscribe, check back often for all kinds of great videos. Now, you can also follow my own personal Instagram account, which is at SoCalSean. That's right, at SoCalSean, SoCalSean. Follow me over there. You're going to get some great holiday photos coming up over the next couple days as well. That is, I'm not always completely active, but this is the time of year where there's a lot of stuff flying around my own personal Instagram account, so follow me over there. And of course, most importantly, all-inclusive of those things would be SeanO'RourkeLive.com. Bookmark that one. Check back often. Again, SeanO'RourkeLive.com. Going to give you links to those things I just mentioned. Make it easy on you. You're also going to find a link to our Patreon campaign. If you're in a giving mood this holiday season, jump on Patreon. Help us out a little bit financially if you have the means to do it. And of course, too late to order it in time for Christmas because it is Christmas Eve right now. But check out our merch website linked directly from SeanO'RourkeLive.com. All right, as I said, happy holidays, wall fans. This particular episode was actually supposed to happen on Sunday, this past Sunday. What happened was I woke up Saturday night with this fun little stomach bug that I seem to catch from my 5-year-old. So I literally spent all of Sunday on the couch, with the exception of the great Tom Yostin and family bringing some gifts over. I was pretty much unable to move, and so therefore we pushed this bad boy on to Thursday, on Christmas Eve. I have retaken my studio because my wife is officially done with her work for the year. And then as of tonight, Go Tell It to the Wall will officially be done. There's a good chance we're going to throw in a bonus episode next week, but we do traditionally go on a holiday break once the holiday special occurs each year. And this is our 6th annual holiday episode. Sixth annual holiday episode. And in fact, I was going through and I was reminiscing a little bit back to 2016 and the stark differences there are. And I think we're going to post some photos. There's not a ton of photos. There's some video, not a ton of photos of the very first one. You have to go back to 17, the second annual one. That's when we really started doing video stuff and crazy outfits and everything else. And that's also when we started the annual reading of Twas the Night Before Christmas. So 6th annual episode, but we are going to have the 5th annual official reading of Twas the Night Before Christmas. That happens at the end of every single holiday episode that we do. And another little fun tidbit, I did mention this last episode and confirmed it. This happens to be officially the 200th episode of Go Tell It to the Wall. Now, that includes all of the holiday specials we've done, the 4th of July spectacular, all that good stuff, and of course, the Common Sense Sundays that we transitioned to courtesy of the pandemic. So this is officially episode 200. I'm not going to spend a ton of time doing that. I simply want to mention it. I'll probably give out some extra thank yous. We are going to have a big by centibration episode for those of you that have been longtime listeners or like half long-time listeners, I guess, you remember we did a centibration episode. So that's going to be coming your way at some point. Just need to get to like actually planning it. So look forward to that. Going to do all I can to make that as exciting as possible. And we might delay it just a little bit, because for those of you that were listeners at the time, you know that we had our on-air producers in the studio, as well as a bunch of Wall supporters and Wall fans that had been with us from the beginning. So if it gets safe enough over the next couple months, I know that's not happening anytime soon, but if it does get safer over the next couple months, we're going to do something similar to that. So more coming, but I do feel the need to recognize that we are now 200 episodes strong here at the Go Tell It to the Wall studio. All right, and a couple more mentions of that. And for those of you that are new to the holiday specials, it's all the same stuff except we throw in some holiday stuff. I wear bells on my Santa hat. I've got my Dropkick Murphys scarf, and I've got my Snoopy shirt going here. All the holiday cheer you could imagine. And, of course, the Peanuts tree, the Charlie Brown Christmas tree. And you know that everyone should have a Christmas Jay from Jay and Silent Bob, right? Jason Mewes. It's not Jay. Jason Mewes isn't. His name is Jay in the movies. But I like him to sit under my Christmas tree, along with this Christmas pig that I think I acquired that a few years ago. So that's where we go with the holiday stuff. But, of course, we're going to have our usual stuff, and we'll start with our digital trends. That's right, digital trends. I want to get serious with this one for a moment. And I talk about them so often, the TikTok challenges, and this is something that's been bread and butter for Go Tell It to the Wall really since the beginning, these crazy challenges. And sometimes they're fun, sometimes they're just ridiculous, sometimes they're dangerous. Most times when they're dangerous, they're not really dangerous toward me, but we had one recently, in fact, last week. If you're familiar with this, you definitely are if you have kids, really anywhere in this country. There was a TikTok challenge put out there, and it was called Bring a Weapon to School Day. Somebody on TikTok was telling kids to bring a weapon to school. So now, of course, everyone was on high alert. This was actually the Friday before winter break for, I think, most kids, definitely for Los Angeles Unified School District here. We got multiple calls throughout the day, multiple emails, text messages saying, we are aware of this, please talk to your kids, and all this other stuff. Strangely, my daughter ended up sick Thursday night with that stomach bug that I had, so she didn't actually go to school, but I was quite stressed about it, despite the fact that she goes to an elementary school. It's got to be even scarier for a parent of a high school student, I can imagine, because those things tend to happen there more, unfortunately. But these kind of things we can't let these kind of things just go to the wayside. And there needs to be some kind of, I was going to say retribution, that's not the word I'm looking for, but some kind of punishment that comes out of this, more investigation into these things, because you can say, oh, it's just an idle threat. One day it's not going to be an idle threat. And it's terrifying for parents. I knew that this was years of this. I was in high school, finishing up high school essentially when Columbine happened. We all look back to that one. As a student, I dealt with it. As a parent now, I deal with the stress of it, and it has to stop. It's not funny. There's sick, sadistic people out there that think it's funny, and it's not. There's no excuse for these kinds of things. And if you see things like this, I don't use TikTok, but definitely report them, because there needs to be investigations into these kind of things. We can't have these kind of scares happening all the time just because some idiot out there is on TikTok creating a challenge. And that being said, maybe keep your kids off of the fucking TikTok. No, kids don't need to be on TikTok. Nobody should be on TikTok, in my opinion. I know a lot of artists and stuff like to use it. I don't use it. It doesn't. And my wife doesn't. I've said when that first came out, I said that one's not coming into this house. It is a very intrusive app with the information that it pulls from you. I'm not going to get into details on it, but I would encourage you to look this up on your own, and see exactly what I'm talking about. I just realized before we move on, because we are in the Go Tell It to the Wall format as opposed to Common Sense Sundays, we've got beer in the studio for this particular holiday episode, Holiday Special 2021. And we've had this in for the holiday specials before. This is the Sierra Nevada Celebration Fresh Hop IPA. Super tasty. It is. It's obviously holiday themed. It's a little different every year. So we've had different ones, but we have brought in the Celebration Fresh Hop IPA. They change up the recipe a little bit every year. It's named the same thing. It's kind of similar to like the Oktoberfests and everything. This is the Celebration Fresh Hop IPA for 2021. I love some Sierra Nevada. Always have. Highly recommend checking them out. It is an IPA. I did test it on my wife because it has a little bit of like a fruity, they all have a little bit of fruitiness to them, but this one almost felt like a little apple to it. But my wife did not taste the apple. So if you like IPAs, check out the Celebration Fresh Hop IPA. I'm enjoying it, and of course brought it into the studio for this particular episode. Things are going to go off the rails when there's beer back in the episode. All right, hashtag reasons to get boosted. That's right, hashtag reasons to get boosted. This one's trending on the social platforms right now, and of course people are posting their reasons to get boosted, and there's a lot of heartwarming things. I'm getting boosted for my family and my community, and you should. But for me, this one boils down to one simple fact. Get boosted so you don't die. I mean, there's no complex answer to this. It's get boosted. And in fact, I can't believe I'm going to talk about this. I didn't even have it written down. The Orange Menace was doing a little rally there with the disgusting Bill O'Reilly. He was doing it, whatever idiot talking head that he's doing this with, and stated to the crowd that he has, in fact, been boosted. The Orange Menace has even gotten his booster shot, and so has the other idiot talking head, whichever one of them it was. And then was booed by the crowd because apparently getting a booster shot is a reason to get. It's astounding to me. It's not a political thing. Just get the damn booster shot. Get a flu shot while you're at it. That's what I did. Booster shot, flu shot. I'm fine. I mean, Bill Gates is probably tracking me, but track me to my studio while I wear a Santa hat with bells on it. What's so exciting about that? All right. Hashtag on my pet's Christmas list. That's right. Hashtag on my pet's Christmas list. This is amazing. There's going to be extra noises other than just the bells because my wife and daughter are currently making cookies in the kitchen. I was helping them out earlier, but probably going to be getting a little bit of noise there. And I'm sure my daughter has been eating the cookies, so I will probably come out of the studio to her running laps on the ceiling. But we'll just hope for the best here. Again, hashtag on my pet's Christmas list. This is people sharing what their pets want for Christmas or the holidays. This is... And again, I say this every year. This is the holiday special. I talk mainly about Christmas simply because that's what I grew up with. That is my experience. This is happy holidays. Whatever you celebrate, enjoy the holidays. And apologies if this episode makes you feel left out. It's simply that's what happens in my family. And it's me yelling at a wall, so that's what we're going to do here. But this one got me thinking because a lot of times people are like, you get Christmas gifts for your pets, and these are usually people that don't have pets. And it seems like a silly thing, but pets are part of your family. Don't forget your furry family at the holidays. And I will say this is something I have done for years. Now, we don't currently have any pets, with the exception of this light-up pig, who isn't actually a pet, but he's just an animal shape. An animal over there, but he's not a real animal. But we did at one time. I mean, for years I had a cat. If you've been a long-time listener, you know Figment was a staple on the podcast, was literally in videos from the podcast, running around the studio. She insisted on being inside the studio for every episode until she unfortunately passed away in 2017. And every year, even as a bachelor, I was like, well, gifts for the cat, gifts for the cat. My mother would get gifts for the cat, and then after a while, my mother-in-law would buy gifts for the pets for my cat, and then also, our cat. I had a cat before we got together. My wife had a dog, and so we came together as a family, and we had a cat and a dog. And unfortunately, the dog also passed away in 2017. Always had gifts for him. And this really got me thinking, and I wanted to share it with you. Now, for Figment, the cat, anything that she could chase or scrunchy, not a scrunchy like the hair things for those of you that are 90s kids, but, like crinkly, crunchy, scrunchy stuff, lose her mind. And, of course, catnip. All cats love catnip. But if she could chase it, she would just go nuts. The simplest little things, like a mouse that you could pull around and, not a real mouse, but a toy mouse, that was her jam. All day, every day. That and some catnip. Christmas for Figment. And then, of course, for Moose, we would always get him something to chew on. The thing is, as good as he was about not chewing like shoes, I never lost shoes to this dog or anything like that. But whenever he got a chew toy, and we would try every year we'd try to get him a more durable, chew toy, but he'd get it in his mouth and just destroy it. And years ago, he set a record, and it was like 30 seconds. It was like, oh, here's your new one of your new toys for Christmas. 30 seconds, the thing's ripped to shreds. So don't forget your furry friends on this fine holiday. whichever holiday you happen to be celebrating. And of course, hashtag airing of the 2021 grievances. So I will say happy Festivus to everyone. Today actually is Festivus, I believe, for those of you that celebrate. Happy Festivus. Now, if you're familiar with Festivus, airing of the grievances is part of the holiday. It's where you complain about your grievances to other people. I'm not actually going to air my grievances right now, simply because I do it once a week here in the studio. But I encourage you all to air your grievances in a fun, friendly way. Don't start arguments 2 days before Christmas with your family, but, have some fun with it. So happy Festivus. And like I said, I air my grievances weekly. I don't need to do it on one day throughout the year. I can tell we're already behind on time. I'm going to just be tangented. I'm going to drink beer. I'm going to have bells going everywhere. This holiday special 2021, Wall fans. And let's get into some COVID. I hate that I'm including COVID, but we got to talk about it right now because the Omicron variant is running rampant. Cases are rising everywhere. I think I know more people that have COVID or are just getting over COVID than people who haven't had it at all right now or don't have it right now. Fortunately, my family has been okay. Nobody in the family's gotten this variant, but just tons and tons and tons of people have, and people are getting it for a second time despite being vaccinated and boosted. I'm seeing people that are boosted and actually getting the Omicron. So be safe, be smart. Don't let it ruin another holiday in a row. But I think one of the best things to do is anyone coming over, have them take a test. We have a bunch of in-home tests here at the house, and I'm going to be having everyone that comes over on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, I'm not having a huge crowd. Please don't send me hate mail. I'm having just a couple family members, really. But they're still going to take a test just to be sure. They got to drive here from out of town, not flying, fortunately, because I'd be terrified to fly right now with this variant. But that's probably one of the better things to do. So keep that in mind. Have fun, but be safe and be smart. Experts are also saying use better masks right now. The recommendation right now from the CDC is to use some of those KN95 masks as opposed to just the cloth masks that we've been wearing for almost 2 years now. And I know a lot of people already wear these. My wife and my father-in-law, that when they've traveled over the past couple months, they wear a KN95 mask on the plane. But, going to the grocery store and stuff, a lot of people, I wear a cloth mask, Sometimes I double up if I'm being extra cautious, but they are saying to use a KN95 mask or one of those higher-end masks. Now, again, this is simply me from my little bit of research. I'm not a medical expert or anything. Do your own research, but that is the word that is coming out right now regarding masks. My kid is fully vaxxed, so it is making me feel a little bit safer. She, as of a few days ago, is fully vaxxed, has her shots, no side effects whatsoever. I think she was a little tired, but man, she took it like a champ. She was just like, shot. She was so excited. I heard, let's get the shot. Let's get it. She's ready to be done with this stuff. Just imagine being 5 years old and spending half your life in a pandemic, and it's not quite half her life yet, but essentially from her being cognitive of what's around her, it's half her life, really, maybe even more. So it's good to it's great to feel a little safer. But of course, the new variant and COVID are once again hitting the pro sports leagues really hard. It's reminding me of almost 2 years ago when it started hitting the NBA and they canceled games and everything just went on a complete pause for a while. We're seeing games postponed left and right, games canceled. The National Hockey League, they've paused their season completely until after Christmas, and then on top of that, they have, for those of you familiar, the National Hockey League takes a break for the Winter Olympics when it is a Winter Olympic year. They were originally going to do that. Now they are not going to do it. They are encouraging NHL players. They're telling them you can't go play in the Olympics in China because of COVID, rising COVID cases, and everything else. And then the NFL. Even if you're not familiar at all with the NFL, it's primarily played on Sunday. This past week, we had 2 games occur on a Tuesday because of COVID cases happening around the National Football League. So be safe out there. We're not out of the woods yet. I think the good thing from what I can see is that this Omicron is going to it's doing its work, and then we can move on to the next variant. Who knows? I did see someone say, maybe we should start have companies sponsor variants. And it's like, that's not a terrible idea, the way they sponsor stadiums and bowl games and that kind of stuff. All right, let's talk about a little mental health. I don't want to spend a ton of time on it But this one's been getting me lately. It's really, and the only way I can say it is seasonal depression, COVID anxiety, and mental illness. These are all terrible things to have right now. And I know many people out there, even if you don't have a mental illness, you're probably dealing with at least a little bit of seasonal depression, as well as COVID anxiety. I mean, who's not dealing with COVID anxiety? If you have no COVID anxiety, I guess ignorance is bliss to a certain extent. But the holidays can be rough under normal circumstances. I talk about this quite often, how rough the holidays can be for anybody, let alone anyone who deals with a mental illness or has a mental health issue. So the most important thing here is respect everyone's comfort. First of all, respect your own comfort level. Don't feel forced to be in a situation where you're not comfortable, whether it's because of COVID or, COVID anxiety or seasonal depression or whatever it might be. Don't force yourself into those things, because if it's going to take you out for days afterward, it's not worth spending 2 hours at a holiday dinner or a holiday party. Let's keep that in mind. And don't get on other people about it. Because not everyone loves the holidays. That's the thing. A lot of us love the holidays. I have a love-hate relationship with it. I don't like the stress and the pressure of all of it, but I do love me some Christmas music, among other things. I love some Christmas cookies, holiday cookies, all that good stuff. I do love the holiday weather, I guess. We're in Southern California, where our white Christmas is a rainy Christmas. That's kind of our version of a white Christmas. And what I do is what helps me is viewing it through my kids' eyes. Instead of focusing on myself, I focus on her and making it great for her, and just viewing the wonder in her eyes. Like going to see the Nutcracker and how much she enjoyed doing that. Baking cookies today, Christmas specials, all that kind of great stuff. We wrapped a bunch of Christmas gifts yesterday. Her and I, we sat in the living room, wrapped a bunch of gifts, for grandparents and my wife and relatives and everything else, and they're all sitting under the tree. That's the way to go. Maybe you don't have kids, but if you do and you're struggling, try your best to just kind of view it through their eyes, and the wonder that they have and the innocence that's still there, and not the over commercialism and the stress and all that other stuff. So that's just one thing to keep in mind that could kind of help you through it. And I will say some songs hit me very hard. I personally, there's no "I'll Be Home for Christmas" songs happening in this house. That's just me personally. I won't sit here and say that's a horrible song, because it's not. It's actually kind of a great song. For me, I have not liked that song since 2017. Really a lot before then. It just hits me hard. But then when my grandmother passed away in 2017, which is where I spent all of my 19 first Christmases, that was for me was going home for Christmas, was going to Chicago to my grandmother's house, and then that was of course sold. So it hits me extra hard now that I don't have that home to go to. Now I am fortunate. I have a very nice home. I still have both my parents. They will be here for Christmas. My father-in-law will be here for Christmas. My kid, like I said. But it's just, keep an eye on those certain triggers. I recognize that as one. As soon as it comes on a Christmas mix, I tell the Google next song. It's pretty simple. It's simple as that. All right, we got some excellent positive news. It's like an early holiday gift here that I got for you. And some of you are going to disagree, but probably most of you will agree. We got an announcement from the band Coldplay. That's right, that band. That ridiculous band. They have said they're going to stop playing music as in 2025. So 3 years from now, 3 years and change from now, Coldplay is going to stop playing music. I couldn't think of a better positive news story to bring into this particular holiday special, other than one of the most terrible bands on the face of the earth no longer playing their music after 2025. Now, unfortunately, their songs will still exist. The songs aren't going away. That terrible song about the color yellow or whatever that is. Jesus. And let me caveat this, Wall fans. I know. I always say, listen to what you like. There are a few exceptions out there. You shouldn't be listening to Machine Gun Kelly. You shouldn't be listening to Journey. And you shouldn't be listening to Coldplay. Get those out of there. Any kind of playlist that pops up, I'm immediately making sure there's none of those bands in there. And the only thing not positive about this is it could be better if they stop playing music in 2022. That could be kind of good. So there's some good positive news for you on this fine holiday special for 2021. All right, let's talk about some parenting. This is where we're going to get into the meat of some Christmas stuff here. And don't forget, the top 10 albums, my top 10 albums of 2021 is coming up shortly. So make sure you don't miss that one, so you can argue with me over social media on why I'm wrong about all of the albums. That always happens. But before then, parenting. Advent calendars. Now, this is not a tradition that I had myself growing up. I think once in a while we'd get one of those candy advent calendars and stuff, but they've gotten so much more complex over the years. A few years ago, we got my daughter a Little People advent calendar. So every day she opened up like a new little person. For those of you who are parents, the Little People toys. They're little plastic figures and little accessories for the little people. It was great. Last year, we had this Disney advent calendar. Highly recommend that if your kid's a Disney fan or you're a Disney fan, highly recommend the Disney advent calendar. Find yourself someone that works at Disney so you can take advantage of that discount because it's not cheap. But the Disney advent calendar is also great. Now, this year, we actually have a Lego advent calendar. And I'll be honest with everyone out there. I actually bought this calendar in 2019. I was shopping at Target shortly after Christmas, and they had it half off on clearance. And there's no year on it or anything. It's not specific to a year. And this one's great. If you like Legos or your kids like Legos now, obviously the advent calendar, we're past advent calendar time now. But keep in mind for next year, all little buildable Lego things or little mini figures, that they have. And finally, my daughter was old enough. She loves Legos now. Was old enough to have it this year. And it's fun not only for her, but for me, because I loved Legos as a kid. Still love Legos. There's some built Lego things on the shelf back here. So there's something about sharing something you loved with your kids as they age into it, and I was kind of very eager for my kid to get into the Lego age. And we've been having a blast with it. She gets up in the morning. She wants to open each day, and then we build it together. And she's been kind of Frankensteining all of the different pieces because I came out the other day, and we had a snowman like very early on in the advent calendar. I came out and she had made the snowman look completely different hat, and had like a thing sticking out of its head. It was very interesting, but she's loving it. It's fun and easy thing to do, and you can find them fairly inexpensively. Like I said, I would recommend somebody with a discount. Buying one that's non-year specific, like right after Christmas, or check the Black Friday. I always say every year, don't shop on Black Friday. If you can order one and get like a half-off deal, that's the way to do it in preparation of the next holiday season, because it's the very beginning of the holiday season. And family traditions. That is a new family tradition for me. And we have a few personally, and I'm sure hopefully all of you out there at least have a couple. If you don't, it's not something that's necessary. But it's something that we love to do. I had various ones as a kid, but from a parenting perspective, I want to talk about a couple of things we do. Matching pajamas every year. I think everybody does them. We either get them from Kohl's or Macy's. That's where I do a lot of clothing shopping that isn't Vans or band shirts or hoodies and stuff like that. And they make matching family pajamas. We have done them every year since my daughter was born. In fact, the shirt that I'm wearing, my Snoopy warm and cozy, this is last year's pajama top. I know. I'm just that kind of guy. Instead of wearing shirts, I wear a pajama top. I think I did this a few years ago, too, with a previous year. Actually, I did do it a few years ago because one of the jammy things was didn't have feet, but it was like a zip-up full onesie, adult onesie thing that I had. My wife had nice pajama pants and a shirt. Same with my kid, but I had to wear the embarrassing onesie. Not that it's embarrassing. I own multiple ones. Shouldn't act like it's that embarrassing. But that's a fun one to do, I would say. And you have something to look back on every year. The one bad thing is I am acquiring yearly new pajamas, my wife as well. So I now have like a bin. Not a big bin, but it's going to eventually be a big bin of holiday pajamas that I kind of rotate once the holiday season starts, and then every year a new one added in there. So again, if you follow me on Instagram, you're going to see this year's pajamas. That is something we post every year, family photo on Christmas morning with the pajamas. Cookie making, like I said, my wife and daughter, I was helping out. They love cookie making. They do the cookie making every year. And especially now that my daughter's 5, last year and this year were really like she's able, a couple years ago it was more like, okay, just keep her hands out of the sugar and the flour and everything else and make sure she's not eating the cookies right as they're coming out of the oven. But that's a good fun one. And regardless of, even if you don't want to make, my wife is a baker, she's a cook, she's making them from scratch. But if you don't want to do that, just go pick up some of those like Pillsbury tubes, make some cookies. The kids will love it. Even if you don't have kids, it's a great thing to do. And, of course, all the holiday specials, the Rankin and Bass specials, Rudolph and all that stuff. And, of course, Santa Claus is coming to town. We talked about this one last year, Stacked Mrs. Claus on a Shroom Trip. That's a fun one if you're into it. Just prepare yourself. I didn't mind it so much. I just wasn't prepared. So I was watching it like, whoa, what is happening right now? But, of course, my absolute favorite is Muppet Family Christmas. You cannot buy it on DVD. I'm not saying go stream it illegally. I luckily have a copy of it on DVD. You can't purchase it for contract reasons. But if you can get your hands on it, check out Muppet Family Christmas. It is by far my favorite. Now, and obviously I'm biased, but it's by far my favorite of the holiday special movies. And of course, a new one for us, I think it's going to be the Nutcracker. I actually, that was a tradition when I was a kid, and it's kind of, my mother still brings me a Nutcracker every year. I would have an enormous amount of them, but lost a bunch of them in the fire in 2003, as I've mentioned, I think, previously. But I still get a new Nutcracker every year. But what I mean is the Nutcracker Ballet. I have a feeling we'll end up doing this one every year as kind of a traditional thing. And I know I have friends that grew up doing that. They'd go to the Nutcracker every year. They'd go see a performance. And so I see that being a new one. And one of the off-the-wall ones that we do here started a few years ago. For Christmas Eve, we actually bring in some Portillos. For those of you not familiar with Portillos, it is a chain out of Chicago. Now they've gotten bigger, and there's some, depending where you live, you might have one. We have like one in Southern California. It's in Buena Park, hard to get to, but you can get that. You can order the kits, which it's not quite as good as being at Portillo's, but it's the next best thing. And that has Italian beef sandwiches on Christmas Eve. That has been our tradition for a few years now, and I look forward to it every year. My chest freezer in the garage smells like Portillo's peppers right now, which is also one of the greatest things ever, because I go down there to grab something like, ooh, Portillo's peppers. So I very much look forward to that one every year. But I think those family traditions are just one of the easy, fun things you can do, fun and easy, and create those things for your kids, for your family, for your significant other, for your dog. Who cares, or if you don't like traditions, don't have traditions. I will say one of my other traditions is a little Irish cream in my coffee on Christmas morning. So I will be enjoying that. It's the only time I drink early in the day outside of like Burning Man is Christmas morning with a little Irish cream in my coffee, because it's tasty. And why not? And don't get me wrong, I'm not getting drunk on Irish cream at like 9 in the morning. A little bit in there in the coffee. It's a way to go. All right, I know you've all been wondering this, and if you have kids, you've been getting toys for them, but I was looking at some of the top toys for 2021. This is according to various websites I kind of compiled, and because it's funny, you can go on Walmart, it's like, here's our top toys, and it's like, is it though, or is that what you're trying to sell this year? Because Walmart puts out I notice this every year, they put out their top toys like mid-November, and it's like, you're guessing. Tell me what's being purchased like crazy. And many of us grew up, I think there's less of a problem now. Maybe there was this year because of supply chain issues or whatever. There's always a crazy toy in the 80s and 90s. I remember the Tickle Me Elmo. You couldn't get your hands on a Tickle Me Elmo. I was too old. I was not the demographic for the Tickle Me Elmo, but I remember when it was nuts trying to get a Tickle Me Elmo. The original Nintendo, that was nuts trying to get. Teddy Ruxpin was another example of all these. Cabbage Patch Kids, for the love of God, in the early 80s. That was another difficult one to get. So this year, some of the most popular toys coming out right now, their parents are shopping for, or, people shopping for kids or for adults, I don't know, is this LOL surprise stuff. If you haven't, my kid isn't into it, so I'm not fully familiar with it, but it's like a line of dolls, and they have various different things, but it cracks me up because I've seen this joke multiple times this year, and it's funny because it's a joke, but I think it's serious. People will ask, hey, their niece or nephew, if they're not really familiar with toys, hey, what do you want for, and I've seen a couple people post this, and hey, what do you want for, for Christmas? Oh, LOL surprise. And they're like, oh, you want me to surprise you? And it's like, no. It's a kind of toy. They're not saying, ha ha ha, surprise me. They're saying they want this LOL surprise. So that, of course, is a very popular toy item for gifts this year. Also, Bluey Plush. These Bluey Plush, if you're not familiar with Bluey, is a kids show. I believe it's actually out of Australia. If you're a parent, especially a father, and I won't say this, it's just because there's two parents. There's a mother and father in the show, but the father's like a stay-at-home father, and he puts all the rest of us fathers to shame. It's like, you think you're being good as a dad, and you go watch Bluey, and you're like, oh man, I could be doing better. And I say that jokingly. It's just, but the kids really love it. And these Bluey Plush, these stuffed animals, really popular this year. I don't think any of these are impossible to get your hands on, but hopefully you have procured them for your kids or your nieces, nephews, friends, kids, whatever, already, because it's Christmas Eve. And Lego sets. The Lego set's always popular every year. And I think we are seeing, I don't want to even say it's a resurgence, because Lego really never died down. It gets really, really, really popular. And I think part of the popularity right now is my generation that grew up with like the crazy intricate Lego sets, and then also geek out on certain things like Star Wars or, Back to the Future, whatever it might be. They can pick up those Lego sets now and then do that with their kids. So, of course, the Lego sets, extremely popular like they are every year. Poppets. If you are not a parent or your kids are very younger or older, you might not have seen these. These are these little bubble things you see kids walking around with, and they push the bubbles in, push them back, push them in. It's literally just pushing a bubble back and forth on this rubbery plastic stuff. Incredibly popular this year. In fact, they're making them, my kid has quite a few. They're making them like bigger than my head now. So you have these giant ones. And adults are into them too. Angie, I know you're going to listen to this. I know you have your own. I get it. I find myself picking my kids up and playing with it once in a while when it's just like, ooh, do. I get the appeal. But it is also getting out of hand, the size of some of these things, because I'm like, that is bigger than my daughter. How's she going to play with that thing? But the Poppets all over the place, man, these Poppets. One day I'm going to open up my daughter's closet, and I'm just going to get clocked in the face by like 30 of these Poppet things, because she only recently got into them, and she's already got like 10. And I don't even want to know how many she's going to get for Christmas from people. And she's going to love them. But the Poppets all over the place. Here's one that so apparently years ago we went into this pooping toy, like literally a pooping toy, not like actual poop coming out of it, but pooping toys. Last year there was like a pooping flamingo. We talked about it last year. The year before was like a pooping unicorn. Well, this year it's a pooping turtle. Specifically, it's the Gotta Go Turtle, not turtle, turd, like Turdle, turtle. It talks and eats and does some other things, all while sitting on a toilet. So I guess if you're into potty humor, that would be a good thing for your kids. Thank God I don't need a shitting turtle in my house, toy or not. I don't think I really need one of those. So fortunately, my kid's not into that. And of course, I think for kids of all ages, we are not a video gaming house, but the PlayStation 5, I believe it's 5, 6, 7, whatever the most recent PlayStation is. It's been extremely difficult to get for like a year. And I see people talking about this on social platforms all the time. Like people I know, they're trying to get their hands on it, especially in like punk rock dads and stuff, and trying to get their hands on a PlayStation 5. So that is definitely one of the more popular gifts this year. I made it tough on myself this year. I try not to spoil my kid, for lack of a better word, but she does get a lot of nice gifts, and I decided to make it hard on myself this year. I'm not going to say it out loud just in case she's listening, but I will say there is a particular gift that we got this year that is very large, very heavy, will require a lot of putting together, and it's going to have to go outside of my house. And fortunately, I have a dolly, a hand truck at home, because this thing got delivered on my porch, and I went to try to move it. Couldn't move the bad boys. I had to go get the dolly and then hide the damn thing in the garage. So that's probably going to be me on Christmas Day, as I'm going to be, and it's supposed to rain here. Out in the rain, cursing at myself for thinking it was a good idea to get this massive gift, but all going to be well worth it, because she's gonna freaking love it. And I will say, I got a couple of my gifts already. I said the Santa Yostins, they came over last weekend, carting some gifts over here for us. As well as for my sis Laura, who's going to get hers on Christmas Eve. So thank you to the Yostins, and of course to Adam, my very good friend Adam, also big fan of the show, for my new Boston Scally cap. And there's going to be some pictures of that thing flying around as I'm looking all fancy, and it is a shade of purple, so it's going to match my hair. Real excited about that. But I'm already getting the Christmas gifts going there, It's amazing. It's so funny, too, because I will say, just a little sidebar here. Maybe if anyone listening knows people at Boston Scally, you don't have an option for putting a gift note in there. I sent my father one for his 75th birthday a year and a half ago, and I had to call my mom and be like, you're going to get a box. And it comes in a Boston Scally box, says it on the side. You're going to get a box. It's going to say Boston Scally. It's from me. It's for Dad. And that's what happened this year. I didn't know. I was like, and I didn't notice it at first, and then I was like, wait, this has my name on it. Because then I noticed it, and I was like, oh, well, clearly my wife bought, for me or for someone else, and I was like, this has my name on it. Unfortunately, had to work around and find out from my sis, who had given a hat size to a certain Adam, that it came from Adam. So thank you very much for that new Boston Scally. I'm gonna wear it with pride. All right, let's get into some common sense here. Oh, this scarf is going to come off in a few minutes. It's very cold out here in Los Angeles, but it does get warm in my studio, and the reason is our HVAC system is literally above the closet that's behind me. So this room, it's great because I run very hot. Like during the summer, this is the coldest room in the house, especially with the door closed. During the winter, it's the warmest room in the house with the door closed because it's the first room that gets heat. So this scarf might be coming off of me at some point here. We'll see if I can power through. So I'm a glutton for punishment. Long sleeve shirt, scarf, Santa hat with bells on it. Ridiculous. So some common sense. There was a conspiracy conference happening in Dallas on December 10th. You heard that right, a conspiracy conference. This is a conference for people that believe in conspiracies. I don't know what... So they have conferences for this stuff, I guess. And the reason I bring this up is because multiple people got sick afterward, most likely with COVID. However, because it was a conspiracy conference, all the people that got sick and all the people that attended the conference are insisting that it is not COVID. It is, in fact, an attack of anthrax that was put upon this conference. You can't write this stuff. You can't. Like, you would go into a development exec at a studio and they'd be like, "That's ridiculous." But it's like, no, it's actually happening. It's actually happening. So I'm not surprised. Conspiracy theorists are coming up with an anthrax conspiracy, as opposed to the fact that they're simply just spreading COVID because they were having this conference with no masks or anything. And we have the Omicron variant going around there. So common sense says you didn't get poisoned with anthrax. You got sick with COVID. All right, now this one I bring up every damn year. Every year. And that's the winter solstice, Hanukkah. But I mean, really the winter solstice pertaining to what I'm going to talk about. Hanukkah, all the different holidays that happen around this time of year. And every year, never fail, we see people are like, keep Christ in Christmas. Jesus is the reason for the season and all this other stuff. And it's like, you wouldn't have Christmas if not for Jesus. And it's like, you know what? And here's the thing. Celebrate whatever you want to celebrate. If you want to celebrate the birth of Jesus or whatever at Christmas, that's totally fine. I have no problem with that. However, don't push it on other people, especially when it's patently false. We know for a fact, and Catholics and Christians will also admit to this, Jesus was born in the spring. He wasn't even born around this time of year. For those of you not familiar, basically Christianity decided to co-opt the winter solstice and a lot of pagan holiday stuff that happens around the winter solstice and take that and turn it into what is now Christmas. Now, again, celebrate Christmas and everything else, but don't shove this Jesus is the reason for the season stuff down my throat, because he's not. He's not. Some church forever ago is the reason for that because they decided that Jesus was born around this time. Just it's the most important thing to just not encroach on others. Respect everyone's holiday. Say happy holidays. Say Merry Christmas. Say happy Kwanzaa, happy Hanukkah, like whatever it is. Say happy Christmas, whatever it is. But respect everybody. Whatever people want to celebrate, let them celebrate. Christmas is just a big commercial thing anyway. To me, I love the holidays because I get to see family and I get to eat a bunch of food and I get to watch the wonder in my kids' eyes. This one gets me. Have you seen the big controversy over the gingerbread person? There's a few bakeries out there that instead of selling gingerbread men, they are selling a gingerbread person. It's a cookie. And of course, there's a humongous uproar from the conservative side of things because apparently they need their gingerbread cookies to have a penis. I don't really understand where we're going with this and why people would be offended at a gingerbread person. What are you holding on to that your gingerbread cookie needs to be a man? And is this all just a big excuse to have a penis on your cookie because you're maybe a little bit homophobic? These are the important questions, Wall fans. And I would like to know. However, common sense says it doesn't matter what the hell you call it. It's a cookie. If someone wants to call it a gingerbread person, call it a gingerbread person. You want to make a gingerbread dog, call it a gingerbread dog. We make gingerbread houses. Get over yourselves. It's really ridiculous what we've come to. Like, seriously. And there's a viral post blaming liberals. Like, this is what you get with liberals. And it's like, a cookie without a penis? I'm down. I like that. I don't need that. I never really thought about whether the anatomy of my gingerbread cookies. Not important to me. But by all means, find what's important to you. Man. And we're getting rain all weekend in SoCal. Like I said, it's pouring right now. Like pouring outside. It hasn't stopped since this morning. It's still going. I can hear it a little bit. I can see it. The sun's down, but I can still see the rain coming. That's our version of a white Christmas here. We're just gonna have massive rainstorms throughout Christmas. And I will say, winter cleaning is coming. This is one for me personally that I want to share with all of you. I do a thing called winter cleaning. Drives my wife nuts every year. Because like a couple days after Christmas, we have a little more. I take a holiday break from the podcast. She's usually on a holiday break. This is my kid's first year in school, but she's on winter break, 3 freaking weeks of it. I would have killed for 3 weeks when I was a kid. So, we spent a little time doing a little winter cleaning and organizing. And like I said, my wife hates it, but it's the best time to do it because you got some time. It's going to be raining. You can't really do much outside anyway. It's COVID right now, so you can't really go to a lot of things. And then on top of that, you end up getting extra stuff for Christmas. So it's the perfect time, or any whatever holiday it is. But we get a bunch of stuff for Christmas. My kid gets new toys. We get stuff. And you got to do some organizing. So I love doing the winter cleaning. Now, and it's common sense because you have the time to do it and all the new stuff. And I will say I do spring clean. I do all the cleaning. It's just that I like to walk around, and it's the old Game of Thrones. Winter cleaning is coming. I'll start saying it like the day after Christmas. Which there's literally a holiday in other countries built around winter cleaning. They call it Boxing Day. You clean up stuff and you put it in boxes. That's all I'm doing. Winter cleaning. All right, and before we move on to some entertainment news and the reading of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, Staples Center here in Los Angeles. This is semi-sports related. Everyone's up in arms because tonight is the last game where the Staples Center here in downtown Los Angeles will be called the Staples Center. I talked about this when the announcement was made a couple months ago that they're changing the name to Crypto.com Arena. I'm not going to sit here and say that's a great name, but there is a huge uproar here in Los Angeles over the name being changed. And everyone's like, it's always going to be Staples Center to me, and I'm never calling it Crypto.com Arena. And the main thing I got out of this is I didn't realize the passion that people had for office supplies. Really. It's an office supply company. But apparently, people in Los Angeles have a big passion for office supplies and can't stand the fact that their arena will no longer be named for an office supply company. I could see if it was like Dunder Mifflin Arena and you're a big Office fan, but it's Staples. It's like the Walmart of office supplies, for God's sake. Get over yourselves. Who cares? It's just a basketball arena. Amazing. I know I'm gonna get some emails on that one from our LA fans that are like, no, it's not. It's like, who cares? It all gets its name changed, and they're just named for companies. Get over it. Even the Coliseum here, it's still the Coliseum, but it's like American Airlines or United Airlines Field at the Coliseum. Like, even they got and that thing's been around for 100 years or whatever. Come on, get over yourselves. All right, entertainment news. I feel I'm you know what it is? I'm still recovering, and it's great that I'm drinking. I'm still recovering a little bit from the stomach bug. Like I said, I was laid out. I couldn't move. I didn't eat anything. I had 2 saltine crackers and a couple of glasses of ginger ale. Was all I had and some water. All I had on Sunday. And I was only having water and ginger ale, so I'm trying to feel better and make sure I didn't dehydrate and die. It was not a good situation. Trust me. Avoid that if it's going around where you are. And it might just be going around everywhere. I talked to my wife's grandmother yesterday, and she's like, I had a stomach bug. And she's in Florida. And she jokingly was like, I don't think you can get it through the phone, but man. I was like, yeah, it might just be going around. So be careful out there. Entertainment news. The Witcher Season 2. I am a Witcher fan. Thoroughly enjoyed Season 1. I am slowly making my way through Season 2. Here's the problem. What I do is my wife and I watch TV like kind of at night before we fall asleep. We'll be in the living room, watch a little TV, we watch some sitcoms. My wife doesn't watch The Witcher, so I need to find ways to do it. And usually for those kind of things, what I do is I don't watch much TV during the day, but when my kid's at school and I take the time to eat lunch, especially if I'm just by myself, like my wife's working, that's when I'll go and I'll watch one of my shows that I really like. The Witcher came out like the day that my kid was done with school for winter break. So I've been just trying to watch like 20 minutes at a time. And that is not a show that you want a 5-year-old walking in on. Not because it's like pornographic or anything, but it's a Witcher is a monster hunter. So there's monsters in it. I will say, I don't think this is not a spoiler because I'm not going to say how. But the red-haired, red-bearded dude from Game of Thrones, whatever his name is, the really funny one from Game of Thrones, weird seeing him without a beard. It's kind of like seeing, what's his name, that Sam, the guy with the mustache, who's always like portrayed as a cowboy, seeing him without a mustache. It's very strange. I'm not going to give you more information than that, just in case you haven't seen the first episode of this season. And no spoilers, other than he's in it, and he doesn't have a beard. So it's very strange seeing that. But I'm slowly getting through it. I'm going to try to get through like a little more tonight after my wife falls asleep on the couch, and then I can watch a little bit of it. New Cobra Kai season is coming December 31st. That one my wife does watch, so I'll be able to watch that one a little quicker. Really looking forward to that one. Not looking forward to this. Wasn't really to begin with, but the Matrix Resurrections, or whatever the hell that new thing is called, getting destroyed on social media. In fact, when Ghostbusters came out, I saw nothing but praise for it, good reviews, and I'm not talking like critics and stuff. I'm talking my friends on social platforms. They're like, "This is the greatest thing ever. I still haven't seen it. Can't wait to see it." And there's like one person that was like, "I didn't like it." It's like, oh, okay. I haven't seen one person say they like the Matrix, the new Matrix movie. In fact, everyone's like, "Oh my God." There's people who are literally like, "Why did I do that? Why did I watch it?" People who watched some of it and turned it off. It's that bad. So be aware if you were planning to watch The Matrix. I probably wasn't going to bother with it anyway, but now I definitely won't be wasting my time with that new Matrix movie that's on in theaters and on HBO Max. Don't go to theaters right now. Jesus Christ. Omicron's all over the place. I would love to go to the theater and see Ghostbusters. I didn't want to do it. I was a little wary of doing it before this whole Omicron stuff. Now there's no way. If you're looking for a new holiday album, Half Past Two put out a new EP, Holidays. It came out, like a week ago or so, maybe even longer than that. It's available everywhere. You can get it streaming. You should be able to purchase it. I believe they have it on vinyl. Might be sold out by now. I'd have to double check. But I love me some ska Christmas music, holiday music. Love Half Past Two, as you know. Maybe they're going to be in the top 10 albums of 2021. Who knows? But check that one out if you're looking for some new alternative ska holiday music. It's great stuff. Love that band. Love really everything they do. And then, of course, the holiday album is fantastic. It's an EP album, EP. So check that out if you're looking for some new ones. And then, of course, that is going to bring us to our top 10 albums of 2021. Now, my lawyer tells me I must point out that this is strictly based on my own personal opinion. I would hardly argue with anybody out there as far as their favorite albums of 2021. These are all, for the most part, full-length albums. There is one little caveat in there because it's an album but not quite a full album, but it needed to go in my top of 2021. But I bring that up because, like last year, for example, didn't put Barstool Preachers in there despite the fact that they released an EP, which anytime, it could be TJ singing to a wall, and I'd probably be like, that's the greatest thing ever, as long as Bungle's playing bass with it, and Gibbs is playing guitar, and Wibbs is playing, need all those things, and just everybody. So that's the one caveat there, and again, my own personal opinion. So that being said, let's get into the top 10 albums of 2021. Number 10. We Are the Union, Ordinary Life. I am new to We Are the Union, thoroughly enjoying this album. Only got into them recently. I'd heard of them, wasn't really aware of kind of their whole thing, but they are a really, really, really fun ska band out of Southern California. As you may remember, we talked about the GoFundMe they did because their van had unfortunately been broken into. They were touring recently. I think they're done now. But again, We Are the Union, Ordinary Life. Number 9, Dropkick Murphys, Turn Up That Dial. A lot of Dropkick Murphys fans did not love this album. I wouldn't put it in as my top Dropkick Murphys album, but I will say it was a great album to come out of 2021 with a couple great tracks on it, and especially if you see a couple of those tracks live. I was fortunate enough to see a couple of the newest songs played live in the Boston to Berkeley tour a couple months ago here in LA. Number 8, Bite Me Bambi, Hurry Up and Wait. This is an album they put out in 2021, and this is the one that I said is a little bit different because it's like a 10-song album, but a couple of them are covers, so it's I've seen people calling it an EP. I call it a full-length album. Love Bite Me Bambi. Not only do I love the album, might have even been able to put it a little higher, but if you're not familiar with Bite Me Bambi, check out the album. Not only that, follow them on Twitch because they do all kinds of awesome other things in addition to just their regular music that they do. So again, Bite Me Bambi, Hurry Up and Wait. Number 7, The Last Gang Noise. The Last Gang Noise. This one came out just a couple months ago, and they may be a little bit low on the list, but I do want to give a special shout out to WFTW, which is the second track off of their album. Check out, that is one of my favorite songs to come out of 2021, and definitely off of my 7th favorite album of 2021, The Last Gang Noise. Number 6, The Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, When God Was Good. I was playing the heck out of that album when it first came out, still pulling it up quite a bit. It's really great end to end, I would say. If you're not a Boss Tones fan, you should be. And they're, gosh, after like 20 some years, they're still killing it and putting out great music. Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, When God Was Good. Number 5, Antagonizers ATL Kings. Again, Antagonizers ATL Kings. I have mentioned them previously in the What I'm Listening To segment of this podcast. They are new to me. I've only been into them for a couple months. They only have 2 albums, but the album they put out in 2021 is definitely in my top 5. Cannot recommend Antagonizers enough. Number 4, Left Alone, Checkers and Plaid. That's right, Left Alone, Checkers and Plaid at number 4. I, again, only recently got into these guys, and I will say Left Alone might be one of the most underrated bands that I have come across in a long time. Now, I'm not saying they should be like the best ska band or respected as the best ska band, but they've been around for a long time. I wasn't super familiar with them, and once I heard them, I was like, oh my God, how was I missing this? They've got like 6 albums, and I'm just now getting into them. Highly recommend them, especially all of their albums, really, but definitely their newest album, Checkers and Plaid, again, from Left Alone. Number 3, Catbite, Nice One. Catbite, Nice One. My daughter loves Catbite. I love Catbite. Out of Philadelphia, I've mentioned them previously in the What I'm Listening To. I think most of these bands have been mentioned in the What I'm Listening To or talked about when their new albums came out. Again, Catbite, Nice One. Check them out for sure. All right, number 2, Half Past 2. Their self-titled album that came out November 5th. I had the privilege of being at their record release party. Courtesy of Tom, I have the record release poster framed over here. I just got to take the time to hang it. Definitely one of my favorite albums probably of all time. Becoming one of my favorite bands of all time because they put on a fantastic show. They put out great music, and they are some of the coolest people you're ever going to meet. I cannot recommend being at a Half Past 2 show enough to anybody out there. And number 1 in the Go Tell It to the Wall Top 10 albums of 2021 would be Chaser and their album Dreamers, which came out in March of 2021. Don't quote me on that. I believe it was March of 2021. Love these guys. Love all of them, especially Mike. I always take time to hang out with Mike whenever I can catch him at a show. Looking forward to seeing them again. And I might be a little bit biased because I know them, but also because that was my first show back after kind of coming out of the pandemic a little bit. Again, Chaser, Dreamers. If you don't own that album, you should. It is a must own. And that would be our top 10 albums of 2021, courtesy of Go Tell It to the Wall and me, your favorite podcast host, the one and only Sean O'Rourke. All right. Before we get into 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, I just want to give a couple thank yous out here. I don't want to get too specific. We're going to do more of that on the bicentennial episode. Bicentennial? Bicentibration episode. I haven't been doing this for 200 years. It's 200 episodes. But really, thank you to all the Wall fans out there that take the time to listen. We have really been growing over the past year and a half with the amount of people that reach out to me. I have people reach out to me and say, I don't even listen to podcasts, but I love listening to your podcast. I have people reach out to me and say, this is something I wasn't aware of, or, thank you for helping with my, I don't want to say ignorance, but with what little I know about mental health and dealing with other people in mental health, all kinds of things. So thank you to everyone that has been supporting over the years. whether you're new or old. And we have wall fans that have been here for 5 years, and we have wall fans that have been here for a year. We have wall fans that have been here for a couple months. So please know that you are appreciated by myself, by everybody that works on making this happen. Go Tell It to the Wall, Chris and Bridget, and my wife is thankful to all of you for keeping me sane. And of course, a big thank you to my wife and daughter, who put up with me, really all year round, but especially this time of year. And here's the thing, wall fans, that I like to point out to people. You all have the choice of listening to me like once a week or however often you listen. My wife and daughter have to put up with me on a daily basis. So thank you very, very much to my wife Diana and my daughter Zofia, and again to everyone else out there for all of your continued support. It does mean the world to me. Even little everything, sharing messages, all that kind of stuff. Just thank you for helping us to grow and become the podcast that we are today. Because it is a big thing and very important to me. All right, we're going to get into a little Twas the Night Before Christmas, and then we're going to close out the holiday special for 2021. Let me get into some of my Sierra Nevada Celebration Fresh Hop IPA. Get some of that going before I get into reading this. And for those of you not on the video, I take my notes big enough that I don't need them. But I actually do wear glasses. I wear glasses for reading and for certain things, and to read Twas the Night Before Christmas, I got to get my glasses on. It's always a bit of a pain because they don't fit quite right with my headphones. So let's see how this goes. There we go. And of course, the bells. All right. Here we go. And for those of you that don't like reading to your kids, you can just show them this part of the video or play it for them. And I will say, I think I've said this before, this is kind of one of the old school versions of it. And this book in particular is very important to me because when my daughter was born in November, and a few days before Christmas, her very first Christmas, I was like, we don't have a Twas the Night Before Christmas book. And I wanted to start the tradition of reading this to my kids every Christmas Eve. I went out to like 5 or 6 different stores, found the last copy of Twas the Night Before Christmas, actually found it at Kohl's. And it was the only copy they had. No other stores around that area had anymore, so I was fortunate enough to find it. But it is kind of a more traditional version of it. So I tend to stumble over some of the words. All right, here we go. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mamma in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled down for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new-fallen snow gave the luster of midday to objects below, when what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. With the little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles, his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donder and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle mount to the sky. So up to the house top the coursers they flew, with the sleigh full of toys and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling, I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes how they twinkled, his dimples how merry, his cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard of his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of his pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke had encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a round little belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod up the chimney, he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the dawn of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim as he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night." All right, Wall fans. That's going to do it for us. We are going to go on holiday break. Thank you for all of your support throughout the past year, over the years, but especially the past year. Might have a bonus episode next week. We'll see how that goes, but we're kind of officially on holiday break right now. And in the meantime, don't forget to follow us on all the social platforms, facebook.com/GoTellItToTheWall, youtube.com/GoTellItToTheWall, my own personal Instagram account, which is at SoCalSean, 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 and of course our official website, which is SeanO'RourkeLive.com. And if you have the means to do so, check out our Patreon as well as our merch website, which connect directly from SeanO'RourkeLive.com. And again, I will say to all of you, thank you, and I hope you all have a wildly happy holiday. Whatever it is you celebrate, however you celebrate, do it safely, do it smartly, and we will all come back hopefully better in 2022 and moving further past all of this COVID stuff that we've been dealing with for almost 2 years now. All right, until next time, Wall fans, common sensors, podcast consumers, remember, no matter what you do, no matter who you're with, no matter where you go, and especially no matter why you are doing it, always, always celebrate with common sense. Gotta love those bells.